Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Fun Fans Podcast. I'm your host, James Dillard. With me, as always, but this time live in our studio in Austin, Texas, my co-host, Bailey Jackson. How you doing, Bailey?
I'm good. It's only 7 o'clock here, though.
It's amazing how that works. Hey, I am excited. Like I said, Bailey's in Austin. We are proud to be, I'm sure we're the first Clemson media to broadcast live from Austin, Texas. And I will be the one in Austin, Texas next week. And did I mention I am so excited? We are super crunk about bringing you this show this evening about the Clemson playoffs. But first, the Fun Fans are a proud part of Greenville Sports Media Podcasting Network. If you're a true sports fan, Greenville Sports Media is perfect for you. Find various nationwide podcasts, the latest articles, and other sports media at greenvillesportsmedia.com. They can also be found on all forms of social media, just like the Fun Fans. The Fun Fans Podcast is the official podcast for Clemson fans.
Yeah, and I ate some chicken wings last night out here in Austin, Texas, and they have nothing on Reuben's Food, Sports, Spirits, and Catering. Obviously, the best wings around with 2 locations in the upstate, and if they had one here, they'd be good here. 1083 Batesville Road in Greer and 11028 Anderson Road in Piedmont. Find them at ReubensC.com. Reubens is simply a great place to eat for all sports fans.
Hey, this is a great time to point out, if you're not going to make it to the game this Saturday, Reubens, whichever one's closest to you, is the best place to watch the game. But finally, the Fun Fans Podcast is also brought to you by Ivy O'Sullivan Healthcare Services. At Ivy O'Sullivan, they're more than just chiropractors. Since 1977, this family-owned business located in downtown Spartanburg has been helping people with techniques other than the typical twisting and popping that can sometimes make people nervous about trying a chiropractor. I've been a patient my entire life, and I take my own children there as well. If you have an ache or pain, give Ivy O'Sullivan Healthcare a try. And if you mention the Fun Fans Podcast, they'll donate 100% of your initial evaluation cost to their charity of the month. So call them at 864-583-3967 or find them at ivyosullivan.com to feel better and function at your best. All right, so obviously it is playoff week. Playoff week. That is a huge, huge deal. All right, Clemson in the first round, none of that's new. And like I say, I haven't heard any other Clemson media already being in Austin, Texas.
No, and I tried to explain to them today when I was trying to get into the stadium, the Darrell Royal Stadium in the University of Texas, that I was an official media member from South Carolina, and nobody seemed to care.
They didn't want to do it.
I had no credentials. So
oh man!
I actually the stadium is about 1.5 miles from the convention center where I'm staying right a block away from.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided I would walk up there to get some steps in. And
you ready for the pictures?
Walk.
It's a long walk. You ready for the pictures?
Not quite. Let's wait. And then so it starts pouring down rain. And so I have to seek shelter under like the awning of this building, one of these huge buildings that's down this way. And so I had some time just to kind of observe people coming out of the basketball game. They played Arkansas Pine Bluff or something. And I just noticed that the orange was very weird looking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not Clemson orange.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did see that Red River. Yeah, you can go to slide. Let's go to slideshow.
You want the Red River sign?
Yeah. So I thought, when they play Oklahoma, it's the rivalry of the Red River.
Right.
And that road goes right by the basketball stadium and right up to the football stadium. So I thought that was a neat picture.
Yeah.
And it's in Texas orange on the road sign.
With their little emblem on there. That's cool.
Yeah. And then so I make it up to the stadium, which there's several pictures of the stadium that we have. And my first thought was that's like the Coliseum.
It's huge.
And it's hard to make, like at Clemson, you can walk up and look into the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I could not get a glimpse of inside the stadium. So I walked around the entire perimeter of it, and I had a couple more shots of just the side of the stadium. Like that That's the main entrance to the stadium.
Okay.
Um,
Obviously, if you're listening audio only, we have a little slideshow here that Bailey's put together for us. So you got to check it out on
it's
YouTube.
like on this little street that kind of winds through some buildings on campus. And what I didn't see was places that people would tailgate or hang out before the game, because there's a ton of parking garages. And I didn't see any like open spaces. That's what makes Clemson so much better.
That's right.
We're one with outside. We like to hang out, but it was an impressive structure. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's big, and all these buildings are connected, and every corner of the stadium has like this building, almost like this tower, like it's a dorm, but it's not a dorm. It's a bunch of offices and things like that. But it's pretty neat.
Yeah, that entrance looks almost looks more like an entrance to an arena.
Yeah.
Obviously,
and the sheer size of the upper deck at Clemson's bigger, just as it goes up. But this was more like there's 100,000 going to be in there.
Yeah.
And then this was right. Let's see. You went back to the street sign. That's the view.
All right. Well, yeah. What is this?
That's the view from like walking away from it. That's what the first thing you see when you walk up over the hill.
Okay.
Is a huge end of the stadium with this big longhorn on it.
That's pretty neat.
Yep. And then
hang on
to the next one. This is actually okay. So that's a rainbow.
Yeah.
Rainbow.
I did see the rainbow.
You know what? I took a picture of that because Clemson's luck is at the end of that rainbow.
I heard that.
The pot of gold. That's a sign.
Yes, very good.
That's a sign. All right. And then the alumni, this is the state capitol building, which is immense. Like this is just one side of it. And I made it a point to go 2 blocks over and walk back around on my way back to go to the state capitol building, which you can see like from it sits up on a hill. And it's just a huge complex that's old stone that's being renovated. It's being fixed up. It's got scaffolding all around one side of it, but it was impressive too. And there were like hundreds of people out there just taking pictures of it. So it's a landmark.
All right. And there's all right. And then there's that and that. And we just talked about that and that.
All right. This is a statue out by the, one of those entrances that only certain people get to go in.
Bailey's pulling on all the doors though. He's trying.
Yeah. Every gate had a lock on it and every door was shut.
All right. And we've seen this is pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's just on the front of one of the gates,
right
on one of the corners of the stadium. I thought that was a neat picture.
Little seal. And then I think the only one we hadn't looked at is the bull.
Yeah, so this is right across the street in the alumni area, which looks like a big donor. It almost looks like a steakhouse sitting over there, but it has this huge courtyard. And I'm imagining on game day, that's where all these people that are members of this thing go before the game.
Possibly. It might be a steakhouse.
There's a Longhorn statue right there.
Can you looks a little trim there? Is that his ribs showing?
I suppose that's as close as I could get because there was a fence there.
I didn't want
to risk any detainment.
Right. And I see he's decorated for Christmas with the wreath around his neck there.
Yeah, he is.
Very good.
I said James will like that picture. That's why.
Of course, very good. I liked them all, and just the first one I saw, it's the last one on this. The way I put these slides together, that almost looks like a fake. That's a good picture. First of all, Bailey, some skills.
Yeah, I took a photography class in high school. Thank you.
But that definitely catches the immense height, and just huge. They built around the stadium. It was like to close off the whole thing. It looks like the Coliseum for sure. So
yeah. So Clemson would look very similar to that, but one side of Clemson is built into the side of a hill, and the other side is open columns.
Right.
And that's what the north end zone is. That north south, the visitor side at Clemson would look like if it were closed in.
Yeah, right. So they closed it in for whatever reason. I don't know.
Because there's like this
Why you
whole
would do
thing
that?
of walkways going up to the upper deck. Like,
Just put them inside instead of outside.
I mean, it's a long way up there.
All righty. Well, we definitely appreciate your efforts there, Coach Jackson. Anything else that the people that are traveling next week might need to know about that area?
Yeah, so I would say if you are coming here, you will have a good time because there's a street 2 blocks from here that it reminds me of a college. It reminds me of downtown Clemson, only it's about 3 times as long, and there's live music being played in every place you go by.
Nice.
There's all these restaurants, there's all these places, and there was a band on a rooftop. I mean, I walked through there at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and these places were wide open.
It's like Nashville, maybe.
Yeah, it's very similar to downtown Nashville, and it's really neat. I'm not venturing up there after dark. There's a little bit of a you just get this feeling that somebody might jump out of a corner and grab you, but it's not. I mean, not once you get up there, but it does take me 10 minutes to walk up there.
It's the Wild West.
Yeah, it is.
For sure. Well, we appreciate Bailey scouting that, and that's the only place you will hear information like that, especially so early for the Clemson fans that are planning to head or even still considering heading to Austin.
Yeah, one more thing.
All right.
On my trip out here, I realized that 3 hours is about the length of my flight.
Mm-hmm.
I can handle in a regular coach seat because we had to keep our seatbelts on most of the time because of the turbulence.
Oh, man.
And I will say that area that I was talking about and all the hotels that are downtown Austin, it's a pretty good hike to the stadium. It's at least a mile.
Okay.
And it's like today here, it was 75 degrees. So
75.
it's 40 something at home. And I got here and it was like, I was sweating,
So
I'll now wear shorts and a t-shirt.
Check the weather app when you pack.
Yep.
Pro tip. Hopefully folks do that anyway when they travel. But speaking of travel, I will be out there next week. And just a kind of long story short, probably just like 90% of other Clemson fans thought through every scenario on how can I go? How can I do this? You want to take your family, you want to take your kids, you want to do whatever. And long story short, it was, let's just say, a little pricey, especially at Christmas time, that type deal. And shout out to my wife. She said, why don't you just go with your brother? Just you and him. And of course that,
not me, your real brother.
Yeah. My biological brother. Bailey's invited, even if it is me and my brother. I had the third brother, it's fine. But obviously that makes things considerably cheaper. And I guess as luck would have it, and this is if you want to, I don't know what's still there. But when I contacted my brother, he looked up flights real quick, and United had added a direct flight from GSP to Austin. And obviously direct flight was only direct flight we had seen before, and it was considerably cheaper. It was about 60, 70% of all the other prices that we had seen. So we started really considering it, and we decided to go ahead and do it. And then after that, we were kind of holding out on tickets, had noticed the ticket prices were starting to drop a little bit. And we waited a day or two. And then, as some folks on here probably know, IPTAY sent out an email offering, I guess Texas sold some more tickets to Clemson to turn around and sell at what I assume is face value. So the ticket prices we were considering buying kind of dropped by a good $100 or so. So if you're not an IPTAY member, reach out to one. And then if you get $100 ticket to the game, if you're still considering going. So I don't know if
you remember last year when we talked about this playoff scenario, I said that it would be a difficult week for people to travel.
Yes.
You're going to go to the airport. When are you flying out here? Friday?
Flying out Friday, fly back Sunday.
All right. So you're going to go to the airport on one of the busiest travel days of the year.
Yes.
Which won't be bad at Greenville Spartanburg.
GSP.
Charlotte Douglas was a mess yesterday.
Yeah.
Now, the good thing about the airport here, it's not very big, and it's literally 15 minutes from here. I can see the planes coming in to land out this door that I'm
Right.
looking at. So yeah, good luck with that.
That will be a thing.
I have a friend that's here now at the conference that's flying back and then flying back.
around flying back.
Yeah.
It was a little too long. It was like 4 days between the time when your conference ends and the game. So that's a little bit of a stretch, but it's definitely a rough time to travel. That's what makes a direct flight 10 times better for sure. And but yeah, and we talked, like you said, we talked about before, you said it's a rough time. And I remember saying that I would wish Clemson would get a home game, and I wasn't even worried about the bye. I would rather,
Right.
if Clemson was hosting that game this Saturday, that would be awesome. So the whole feel of this thing is still really cool to me, and that's one reason why I'm excited about going. Of course, I hope Clemson wins, and of course, I think they have a chance. Of course, they're not favored to
The rainbow.
but definitely going for the fan experience. And want to throw this out there, another thing that's helping with the fan experience. And we've had Bubba Britton on the show before. It's been a while, but the Clemson Alumni Club always plans stuff. So check out their Facebook page, their website. They have scheduled a Friday night gathering at a place called Whiskey Tango Foxtrot Ice House in Austin. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot for Friday night. All the Clemson folks are going to gather there. And then there's a tailgate that the Alumni Association is putting on. And they must have found some grass somewhere at the Lyndon B. Johnson Presidential Library lawn. It says it's a lawn, so I'm assuming there's some grass there. It's a $100 ticket for all you can eat and drink for that tailgate. And really $100 is kind of cheap for a tailgate, maybe. But check out the Alumni Association Facebook, social media, website, or whatever. If you're planning on going, you don't have the plans to hook up with us. So that's where my brother and I will be, along with, I'm sure Bubba will be there, and all the other Clemson regulars. And like I say,
a half mile from Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
Yeah, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. So apparently that's a common place for the Austin Clemson Club folks, or at least that's where they're getting together this coming Friday. So that'll be a good time, though. Like you say, the flying back on Sunday could be a little hectic, depending on how their airport is. But hopefully United will do us right, and hopefully everybody else that's flying out there, driving or whatever, has a safe trip. So that is the plan. And you know what you need anytime you're traveling cross country?
You need some W.
You got to have some energy. Go to w.gg, enter promo code FUNFANS for 10% off of your Jitterless energy drink. Okay, so we talked about this. We said this is historic. This is a historic event. And I'm not bringing this up to pick on the Gamecock fans. I mean, they're state champs. They beat us this year. But one thing that does kind of, it's just getting under their skin is the fact that Clemson is able, when they look in the history books and who were the 12 teams that were a part of this first ever 12-team playoff, you're going to see Clemson in there, and that just drives them crazy.
Or who's been 7 times.
Well, that too. But we're speaking of this particular historic event. It's a big deal. So I'm excited for our team and our school and the other schools too. And but real quick, we're going to go through the other matchups, and we'll talk about who we can talk about who we like. But from a fun fan standpoint, Bailey, of course, Clemson and Texas, everybody's been talking about Matthew McConaughey. My wife wants me to bring back a Texas shirt because Matthew McConaughey's a professor. So I'm like, so you want me to buy a sweatshirt from the team that we're playing? She's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, guess what? They got a Fanatics team shop. They got kiosks set up all around the stadium. You can go to the Austin Visitor Center, a block up the road, and get all you want.
So, this is a great experience. I've never been to Austin. Clemson fans are getting it. The ones that are being able to go are going to Texas. It's a huge matchup. If you're just watching it on TV, it's just like what we talked about on this show about the 12-team playoff, matching up teams that don't normally play each other. These are big-time games. The next one I got the graphic up here is Tennessee and Ohio State. Those guys don't hardly ever play. Or as far as I know, ever. Maybe historically they played, but those are two big-time programs, and they're going to go at it in the playoffs. That's going to be a awesome thing to watch. You're going to have, Peyton Manning and all these folks, the alumni from those schools, the big names they're going to be on the edge of their seats. That'll be awesome.
And
that's it. That was
a lot of the experts said that game should have been flipped. Location should have been flipped
as far as the seating. So,
yeah.
Well, maybe, but and I was about to say it's in is it Columbus, Ohio, or it's Columbus, Ohio, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be a little chilly up there. So that's definitely in the shoe. That's an outdoor deal. SMU, Penn State. I mean, Penn State's traditionally historic, big time football program, and SMU has their history as well. Bailey, we weren't the only ones that talked about it. I saw somebody else go through SMU's history about having a death penalty and then building it back to making this 12-team playoff. So, and that's a team from Texas, and everybody knows about Texas football, and big players and big time. That's going to be fun for the fans to watch. And then Indiana, Notre Dame. This is what we were talking about. If Clemson and Carolina would have made the playoffs and playing each other.
This is the Indiana State Championship.
Yeah, Indiana versus Notre Dame. You don't hear Indiana football too much, but definitely hear Notre Dame. But for those folks to go at it inside their own state, that'll be fun to watch. For a fan like me, that'll be fun to watch because knowing that that's what they're doing. And for some reason, they're in the same state, but for whatever reason, they don't normally ever play each other. So,
the beauty of this is none of these games overlap.
Yes. So which one's the Friday night game? Indiana, Notre Dame, right?
Yes.
Okay. So who do we like in that one? Let's do we'll be typical sportscaster guys for a minute. Who do we think is going to win?
I mean, I think Notre Dame at home.
True. All right. I like that one. I don't know what the spread is or anything, but I'll go with that. What about SMU, Penn State?
All right. So I will say this. I hope SMU wins.
Me too.
But Penn State, if there is an easy way to the Final Four, Penn State got it.
You think?
They get an 11 seed, then they get Boise State. Now, right. Boise State's good.
They're good.
But they're not
SEC Big Ten good.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's going to be tough at Penn State. But I'll tell you, SMU, I was not disappointed in them. They're really good too, I think.
Yeah, both of those teams coming off losing their conference championship games are going to have something to prove. And personally, it's going to be cold, and I don't think that'll be a factor. If it's 30 degrees or whatever, it was that cold at the ACC championship game. But if it's cold and wet, or if there's snow or something like that, I think that'll be advantage Penn State. But if it's dry, I think SMU is going to beat them. I really do. I think they have more athletes, and they match up size wise, and they just have more athletes, and they can definitely play.
We got some guys that can go.
I mean, they can play. So I'm going to go with SMU, but I'm going to put an asterisk on there unless there's like sleet or just freezing rain or snow or something like that.
What about do that on FanDuel? Once you hit submit, that's it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I get to do disclaimers with my pick. All right, what about Tennessee, Ohio State? Like I said, this could go either way.
Yeah, it depends on which one of those teams shows up. Like, I thought Tennessee's been really good all year, except one or two times.
Yeah. And
same thing with Ohio State. Ohio State spent more money, as much money as anybody, on their NIL national championship team, and they got a tough road. And Oregon, who has beaten everybody all year, they got to play the winner of that game.
Yeah.
So figure that one out.
Well, that's one thing everybody's talking about with the seeding, but we already talked about that on our show. We can mention it later.
I promise you they're going to change it at the end of this year.
They'll change it, but they cannot. They have to have some type of legit, make it worth it reward for winning the conference championship, even if it's just a home game.
So I heard on the radio this week, and the guy made a good point. He said he's okay with putting the conference champions in. Guarantee them a home game.
Yeah.
Even if they're seated 11th.
Sure.
They play at home.
Right.
And to me, that makes more sense than this. Do I think Clemson's the 12th seed? Yes.
Yes.
They're either 11 or 12. They beat SMU.
Sure.
Shouldn't they be the 11? It really doesn't matter. It's apples and oranges.
Yeah, but the bottom line is to get these teams that crisscrossing the conferences and the nationwide spectrum of teams. And really, once you throw it in the mix, at least we're settling it on the field versus having a committee decide 2 or 4, or a computer decide 2, or a committee decide only 4. This is way better.
Right.
So they'll get it right. And we hadn't talked about this. So it's kind of, I don't know if this was a coincidence or what, but all of the teams are matched up that played or both didn't, either both played or both did not play in a conference championship game just 2 weeks ago. So we talked about Indiana, Notre Dame. Neither one of those teams will have played for, it'll be 3 weeks by the time they play.
Right.
So there shouldn't be, one, if there's an advantage or disadvantage, they've both been through the same thing. SMU and Penn State, they both played and lost with the 2-week break. Tennessee and Ohio State, neither one of them played. So same thing. They're, whatever it is, they're on the same playing field. And same thing for Clemson and Texas. Both of them played well, except Clemson won, Texas lost. And that could be a little bit of a factor. Texas, you think they're looking past Clemson, maybe, hopefully. But then again, they're licking their wounds over losing to Georgia again and looking to prove themselves. So,
well, I don't know. If it were a quick turnaround, I'd say maybe. But if Clemson could do the impossible, and because look, we're not silly, we're not stupid. This is a very difficult matchup.
Very.
I've said on here, when you asked me earlier in the year who you think the best team is, I said Oregon and Texas.
I've been saying Texas all year myself.
Yeah. But that's why you play the game.
That's why you play the games. I'm not sold on Oregon personally. They're good. They're really, really, really good. But I'm not sold on them being the number 1 team. I don't know if they could beat Georgia or Texas.
If Clemson could somehow pull off a miracle, an Austin miracle, like a rainbow.
That's right.
Arizona State's a pretty good matchup.
Oh, yeah. Especially
with a chance to go to the Final Four.
In Atlanta, right down the road.
That's right.
That'd be nice. So we're going to pick Clemson, right?
Absolutely.
We got to pick Clemson. So those are the fun fans pick. Clemson. Wait a minute. Did we pick Tennessee, Ohio State? Who do we say going to win that one?
I'll go with Tennessee.
All right. I like Tennessee as well. So Clemson, Tennessee. Well, I think we split SMU and Penn State on that one, and we both went with Notre Dame. So that'll be some fun. And like Friday night, and then, none of them overlap. It's going to be great from a fan standpoint.
I even tested out my projector this week.
Yeah.
But it's going to be 4:00 kick. So that's not projector time. But then it'll move into projector time.
Yeah. Halftime or maybe before.
Once you commit to watching on the projector with a fire outside, you got to go all in. And
go.
We won't be able to see it at 4:00.
All right. Well, I'll send pictures from the seats that we ended up getting in the stadium. So we're definitely looking forward to that weekend, this coming weekend. Big time matchups, historical event in college football. So hopefully all fans of all teams are going to be able to enjoy it. And that means get your Christmas shopping over with. Got to be done. Christmas is like the next Wednesday. So, all right. Very cool. Real quick. Bailey, you got a basketball update, Clemson basketball update for us?
Yeah, they played yesterday at 11 a.m.
What was up with that?
Well, I think it had something to do with Memphis travel and television.
Okay.
But, first of all, the students are not there.
Yeah, that didn't help.
That's a game you need to play when the students are there. Now, I know it's a return game from last year. Memphis beat them last year at Memphis. Close game. This game went to overtime. Clemson had really a chance to ice it yesterday and didn't make enough plays, and give Memphis credit. They hit a ton of threes. And that's big threes.
Yeah, I caught. So I started watching when one of their key players allegedly fouled out.
Yeah,
and it was like a tie game or something. And, I'm like, well, that could help Clemson. There were like 3 minutes left to go. But apparently, when we talk about this as coaches, somebody's got to step up when something happens to your teammate. I think that kid's last name was Hunter, because they kept saying Hunter over and over again for both teams. I mean, he couldn't miss 3-pointers all of a sudden.
No, well, he made them in the first half too.
He was on fire.
Memphis is the first team that I've seen to have a player go there, transfer out for a couple of years, and come back.
Transfer back. Well, good for them. Yeah, he was hitting. I mean, it doesn't matter if somebody was in his face or not, or whether he was on the wing or up top. It didn't matter. My boy was hitting threes.
This is a little thing. I know we're running short on time.
Yeah.
Clemson struggles against pro-style basketball offenses.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a case in point. Damon Stoudemire, coach of Georgia Tech. He's a professional, used to be a pro point guard. They run a pro system. A lot of ball screens, a lot of individual clear outs, drive and kick. That's all basketball technology or terminology. Memphis, same thing.
Yeah.
They struggle with teams like that don't play as traditional as most college teams. But last year, Memphis beat us and we went to the Elite Eight. So let's hope that's the same.
There you go. It can happen. So you had better watch. All right. Well, thanks again, Bailey. We hope you enjoyed the show. Appreciate Bailey and his on-site coverage. And we will see you in Austin. Thanks again for checking us out each and every Sunday. Don't forget to click subscribe on the Fun Fans Podcast YouTube channel, as well as your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on social media, and please share and reach out to become a sponsor. On behalf of the Fun Fans Podcast, Jay Thriller Entertainment, Greenville Sports Media, and Bailey Jackson.
Yeah, just let me know where I need to send my receipts for food to get reimbursed for this.
Go Tigers.